Hi, this is Trevor,
and this is Paul,
and you are listening to the May Contain Action podcast,
available on Apple, Spotify, and more.
I'm so glad I came on this podcast. Could you imagine if this went live too?
Dude, yeah. Wow.
Imagine
Anyone
if
saw
we were
this?
recording this.
No one listens, so you're good.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just could not let that stand.
No, yeah, and I feel like you'll hold that over for a while, but I'm gonna keep on saying it the way I'm saying it.
I'm gonna bring it up
Go for it.
again.
Anyways, I was playing Diablo. Playing Diablo with my fam. And yeah, I pursued college, hated college, just kind of didn't feel really any reason for studying what I was studying until in my high school career, I lost a lot of friends to suicide and drinking and driving, and some really bummer, really good friends that I cared about a lot ended up just bouncing, and that really affected me as a high schooler more than I think I gave more than I paid attention to or knew how to cope. And I just remember thinking to myself, they were great people. They just didn't they just weren't in they just weren't in the right circles. They didn't have the right friends that cared about them well. And so I wore a lot of that in high school, and then in college I didn't know what to do. My parents were kind of forcing me to go to college, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go study to help people make better decisions. That was kind of my hope, was I want to influence people, and I want to challenge and change the status quo of what the world gives you, the hand that you're dealt, and try to show people tricks of the trade of living a healthy life. And so I went to college for counseling and therapy and all that stuff, and ended up getting a master's in it and all that stuff, and really enjoyed that conversation. It led me to being a resident director, which essentially is in a dormitory, there's RAs, and those RAs kind of are the people that get a bad rep for ruining your life in a dorm.
For sure.
And there's an RD, a person over that. And typically what happens in a social situation in college, if somebody's making a poor decision, either the RA or some report comes in, and the RD then has a conversation with those students. And so I was in a position of suicide prevention and kind of this interesting discipleship and walking along students that are making poor decisions, and also kind of intentionally caring for RAs over the course of a year, and kind of walking them through their lives. And that was some of the most edifying work that I've ever been in. Unfortunately, the college I worked at kind of just overworked people with not enough pay. And so I did that for almost 6 years. I've been in higher education for 9 years.
Wow.
And so I really care about people that isolate themselves, typically. Those are the people that I kind of really enjoy caring for. The people on the outskirts of social dynamics and situations, people that feel worthless, people that feel like they're not enough, people that are sad or depressed or whatever, and try to encourage and give them life. And so in this job, I just kind of got overworked and was feeling really burnt out from it, and had always wanted to be a streamer and content creator, and somebody who can influence people in kind of a new way, a new era, this whole last 5 years it's crazy to see some of where gaming has gone. So there's a new platform here that I was exploring while I'd just been playing video games this whole time and feeling guilty for it, because it's not a real job. It's not a real job, those types of things. Yeah. Until the opportunity to jump onto Twitch and be an influencer, a content creator, kind of was this cool middle ground of being able to influence people and play video games, which I've been doing my whole entire life. And so this cool marriage came together, and I was like, you know what? I looked at my wife. I was burnt out, really worried if I should continue being an RD. And I said, I think I have what it takes to be a streamer and content creator and actually make money off of it. And she kind of looked at me like, are you sure? You know, like, you know, like, is that the route you want to go? And I said, I think we have enough money in our bank account for 3 months. And if it doesn't work out in 3 months, I will go back to higher education. I'll figure out another route that will be like cause less burnout for me.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, let's do it. And at
what
the
year
time,
was
I've been full-time a year and a half. But I think we started the conversation 2 years ago. So fairly new, like really new. But I had been doing cheat sheets and content creation on both my Instagram and Reddit, and both of them were blowing up like ridiculously. Like when Fortnite came out, like it changed the game for so many people. And I was one of the fortunate people to have content and consistent content, like helpful content over the course of its existence. And so people really knew my name while the game was coming out because I was helping them with their challenges really regularly. And so I had built up an audience and kind of just probed that audience, was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is there a way that you guys think I can make a living off of it? And so the first month I made like, I think like $53.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Killing it.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, this is not going to happen. I might as well just ride or die. I might enjoy it while it dies. And then
half of our Zoomers are just like $53.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And our rent here in California costs $1,780 for a 2-bedroom apartment, which is crazy.
Wow.
And so my hope was to pay for rent. That was my goal by the end of the 3 months, is like, and so month 2 I paid for half of rent, and month 3 I paid for almost all of rent. And that was enough to go another month. And so it's just been slowly and consistently creating content and trying to build an audience of people that want to care about those that are online and not just disregard them as a number. So that's kind of how I got started.
That's amazing. Wow. Amazing story.
That is, that's incredible. I mean, is there I feel like I've thought about that question a lot, like in terms of Twitch and just gaming in general, and the people that I knew in high school and in middle school, like my friends that weren't necessarily into sports like I was, or like they were, not necessarily even great students, right? They were good students or whatever, but they like playing video games, and they're like, I'm 30 as well. And so like, it's that time of there was no making money or at least even playing professionally or anything. And so I've just seen Twitch give so many people who were hyper competitive but didn't have an outlet, or people who felt isolated and couldn't communicate with other people that felt as strongly they did about the types of games they felt. And then there's just community after community everywhere. And I just realized that every single channel you go into has a different feel for a very specific reason. And, I've just become aware in the last few months of how much like my mods and people in my channel play games together. Like, and that's just, that's incredible. You won't find it anywhere else. So it sounds like, and you're the type of person that, wants to help and wants to make yourself available to those people. And there's just not a better place to do it than here. So that's really, that's
absolutely,
dude. That's tip of the cap. That's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think like mental health is just like a topic that should be more to the forefront for gamers. I think it's kind of one of these, this topic of like, you can just do anything at no consequence. And I think like by even just your physical health, if you're playing video games for a long period of time, there's just dangers over time that can happen. Like you can really hurt yourself by sitting in a chair for that long, or just these things that I don't think are being talked about that I just think are really important, like, and valuable to talk about, because if you're stuck in isolation for too long, that can change the game. And I even struggle as a content creator. And honestly, Paul, you reaching out for this is awesome, because like I think what I'm trying to do 2020 is like learn how to collaborate with other people who get this space, because this space is hard. It's hard. Like you can isolate yourself and you could like compare yourself every single day and feel like you are failing and feel like you are insignificant and feel like you are bad at what you're doing and almost get ready to quit, every day. And that comparison can be really hard. And so I think like what's interesting is there's no real space for people that are doing their own content to kind of like know how to engage with other content creators. So like for my context with you, Paul, is like I just wanted to get to know you. So I came into your chat, we hung out a little bit, engaged, and it was like you seemed like a person that was fun. And then even prior to that, we met in person, and it was like that was like really life-giving to me, of like this person. It like I was about to leave, and then I ran into you, and we ended up talking for like an hour.
It's true.
Like, this is crazy. But there's great people out there that are doing great content, and in the world in which we live on, it's such a shareable space. Like it's such a shareable space. Like there is no reason for somebody to hoard their, like their audience, because our audiences are already so rapidly moving through content that sharing is such a beautiful thing that we get to do, and something that I want to be a lot better at in 2020, but more so to be able to build actual relationship with people despite how busy I am in my own content creation. Like, and so even you reaching out for this, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, it's so cool that you guys get this opportunity to brush shoulders with other content creators that are doing excellent and amazing things that we can all learn from. And I'm sure the people that listen to this podcast come to this podcast to learn about like these incredible people that have devoted parts of their lives to learning how these things work, to share those tools. And so I think what you guys are doing here is very honorable and something that I am inspired by and want to learn from. So thank you, guys.
Man. Oh, of course. Absolutely.
It's that I feel so, that made me so happy. I might not retire after this episode.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
It's not over yet.
We got him yet.
I'm episode
sticking
12,
around.
so I can still ruin it.
No, absolutely. We still got time. But it's to your point. Whenever I hear, or not hear, because I literally don't hear anything when I stream. But whenever someone comes in and types in chat, they say, "Hey, Paul, I'm going to start streaming," or "I just did my first stream," or whatever it may be. I almost have a knee-jerk reaction. Not that I'm not happy for that person. Like, that's exciting to do something new and it's fun. But my knee-jerk reaction is, do you have the emotional and mental fortitude to handle that? That's always my first reaction. Is like not in like a writing you off way, but it's kind of like good luck. Like it's a lot, and I think people don't realize, like you said, it's you are under a microscope to some extent. And you will now put your success in direct correlation to everyone else's. Like, I must be this successful based off of this person and how similar we are and how their success. And I'm funnier than that person in my mind. Or my mom says I'm funnier than this person or whatever. Like, so it's a constant mental evaluation that you have to gain a hold of. You have to like keep in check that you do not compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, and it's lonely. Like,
oh yeah,
it's very lonely. Even though you are surrounded by people, right? Like that's the funny thing about it. But it's like at the end of the day, how you feel about your own brand, you're going to be more insecure unless you're around people that you've built friendship with that also get what you're doing. Because I created a stupid video this morning. It took me like 2.5 hours, and when somebody eats that content, they're like, "Oh, you're bad at the game," and you're like, "Ugh," like, come on, you little 13-year-old. It took me a long time to build that, exactly. People don't get that. People don't see the work behind. They just can critique however they want because they get to hide behind their username. And so when you're building content for kids that don't even care, they just want to see you burn for the, whatever it is.
Yes.
It's so refreshing to be able to have another person who gets it, to be able to say, I'm bummed, like that was a bummer that happened. And for somebody to go, yeah, not like somebody like, oh yeah, you entitled, like what, you get to play video games for a living? It's like it's
what
so
people
refreshing.
say that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's so refreshing to have people that get it. And I think that's something that in doing this for only, a year and a half, I'm already recognizing that need for myself to continue to create good content. I think I need those people in my life. And so I think you coming along was actually kind of a big thing for me. So I'm grateful for that.
Dude, awesome. Thanks, man. I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed meeting you as well when we met in California at that like full Fortnite soiree type of thing. Mm-hmm. And kind of like you were saying earlier, and obviously we have other things to talk about, but I think it's important, especially in this arena, to build bridges and not walls. Like your community, you have a certain responsibility to your community to set the tone of that community, whether you think you do or not, whether you're ninja or whether you're the person that just started yesterday, you dictate the mood and the I don't know how you call it, the aura of that community, right? So if you're toxic and negative or whatever, your community will be toxic and negative. If you are helpful and loving and caring, your community will be those things. So no matter how big you are, you have that. And then also to think that your community is somehow only yours, and if you collaborate with someone, you will lose that community, is just ridiculous and prideful. And like nothing could be more beneficial to yourself and your communities to collaborate with people. They're just exposed to more good things.
Exactly. Just like we have preferences for the type of content we like to consume, everyone else also has preferences for the type of content they like to consume. So they might find something they really enjoy at the time, and that might be somewhere else for a while. It's gonna happen, whether or not you want to worry about it or not. So
you're gonna lose viewers or mods or people. Like it's gonna happen, but you can either be a part of the positivity of them leaving or the negativity. Like, did you introduce them to someone they really love, or did you keep them from someone they really love?
Yeah.
So